Well, hello, members of today. You're gonna be the jury of this, not a trial, but a important topic. For example, right now, the U.S. must take action about the racial disparities in healthcare. How is that? Let's say that you got an emergency today or tomorrow, and you need to um, go direct to the doctor or something else. Of course, you're not gonna do an appointment about that because it's an emergency. But even if you're first, they might, I don't know, say like you can't do it because you don't have an appointment. And let's say this will be normal if this won't be repeated every time with different type of colors or even from where you're from. Like I believe that everybody here on the audience are like from South America, another Venezuelan, Ecuadorian. I'm from US, but still I'm countless and half Ecuadorian too. So it's really integrated. It's really deep for me about this topic because I cannot imagine if something happened to my grandma and my grandpa, they cannot even take care of themselves because this government is not taking care of them, you know. Of course, there's many ways to help them, but we're going to talk about just in a moment. For example, for Black Americans are 2.3 more likely to die from COVID than white Americans. That's what the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention says in 2022. And it's really integrated because, like, how is that even possible? You know, we're talking about US, so it should be more Americans than, you know. So that's how I see it, but whatever. Also, our research from the American Heart Association shows that Black and Hispanic patients receive fewer life-saving cardiac procedures than white patients, even when accounting for insurance status are the same. That's from American Heart Association 2023. That's what I was talking about. That not even just from Afro-American, also Latin Americans too are suffering from this right now. They've been from the past, and it's gonna be from the future. Could be your, I don't know, today's it's you, could be your son or your grandson. So we have to take care of this every time we hear about, let's see, for example, hmm, what we can do in that position. Everybody have a voice to make a call to do. So every time that happened, we could just make a make an effort to give us notice about what's happening right now. Because it's not fair. I'm not gonna blame the white people or just the other type of races, because it's a government problem. It's not our problem. I mean, it's our problem, but we're not gonna do a solution. It's their job. Okay. Did anyone have any questions about it for the moment?
Yes. How Latino and Hispanic communities are specifically affected by healthcare disparities?
That's a good question, Christians on the wall. For example, Latino communities are facing higher rates of uninsured individuals, limited access to private care, and language barriers that impact treatment quality. That also experience higher rates of conditions like diabetes, obesity, and COVID-19 hospitalizations compared to non-Hispanic whites. That's that's what Centers of Disease Control and Prevention says about that, and it really makes sense. Because for example, for Latin Americans like you, not me, of course, the language barrier is really important here because sometimes it's difficult to just communicate just 3 words or 4 or 5. It's not, and it's not their fault, you know. Every person has their own story, their own meaning about it. So every person needs to be treated the same way as another one. Any other questions? ahead.
I have a question. Why do racial disparities in healthcare still exist even though discrimination is illegal?
What is such a good question, lady? Well, laws against discrimination exist, but they cannot completely eliminate it impact bias, systematic barriers, and historical inequalities. Many disparities are caused by many factors like unconscious provider bias, unequal access to quality care, poverty, and language barriers again, because it's going to be most of the problems right now. For example, right now the whole country it's doing a whole scene about the Latin Americans with the whole new government, the new laws. So it's even more difficult to us to make an effort about that. So, but if we have faith that in the next years that might change about it. And any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question. What can ordinary people like us actually do to reduce racial disparities in healthcare?
Excellent question, my friend. There's many ways that we can do that. We can avoid for better policies, support clinics, and serve minority communities that are here just to help us. The minority that sometimes they call us, and demand bias training in local hospitals. Even personally, we can educate ourselves about healthcare inequities and vote for leaders who prioritize the health justice. Small actions can reply into big changes. And that's my point of view of all this chaotic topic. And it's really disappointment how in 2025 these problems are still ahead of us. And there's nothing right now that we could do, but there's still faith for us. I believe that we can, as a society, not even just Latin American, also African Americans and even white people can help to build a better community for the next few years. And that's my speech about the whole situation. I hope you enjoyed and like it.